Hi everyone, and welcome to the explanation of the jury catalogue for 2024 for Aufguss WM. My name is Martijn, and I will guide you through this process one by one. Let's start with the professionality and the overall impression. That's in total of 10 points. That means that we're starting with the preparation. It is very important for us as Aufguss WM, but also as a host, that all the files are delivered on time. That's why we took 1 point on preparation. And the question is there, did you deliver your light script in time? Did you deliver any information that we need on time? And that's for us a very important one. So you can easily win 1 point just by making sure that everything is handed in on time. The second one is the opening and closing. Through last years, we had to give an opening which took all the information on who you are, the topic, the hygiene rules. We all skip this out. That means that you as an Aufguss master, you can start the show. It's like in a Cirque du Soleil, for example. There also, the clown doesn't come up and say, hey, my name is, and here are the safety rules. No. What happens is when the show starts, the music starts, the show starts, and we would like for you to do that as well. Of course, it's important when we judge a opening, that the opening is clear, that you as an Aufguss master stand in the sauna, that you stand there with pride, that when you speak, that you speak clearly, that you look to the people's faces, that you're not walking around nervously, but you stand on one place and you explain everything. A tip is there as well for you as an Aufguss master. If you speak to your guests, make sure that you never speak with your back into the guests, because usually there's maybe some music in the background, so people in the back don't hear you. They hear you when you're facing to everybody. At the same time, it is very important for you that if you speak in the sauna, that it's loud and clear. So be very careful with your sound, the volume of your sound in the beginning. Okay, so that's a tip for you. The second thing is then the ending. We also judge how the ending is, and the ending can be something that's happening, but we need to see a clear ending. An Aufguss master that quickly runs out of the sauna is not a very nice ending. We would like, of course, that you thank the people, that you bow to the people, that you go outside relaxed, but at the same time you're standing there outside, you're greeting the guests, and we also look, of course, at your physique, how you are at the end of your Aufguss. So this is about the opening and the closing. The third part in the category professionalism and overall impression is the organization, the cleanness, and the hygiene. We expect, as an Aufguss master, that everything in your sauna is nicely arranged. That means that when you're doing your Aufguss, that you nicely fold your towels again and not just throw them away. That everything is nicely organized, like buckets, for example, that you know where everything is, and we can see that. Yeah? If you're searching in your sauna, for example, or if you have everything nicely placed and you know where everything is, that's extra points. So in order also for hygiene, I can also give you a tip. If you have your ice ball somewhere, always place a little towel so you can easily clean yourself off. You don't forget to clean yourself off because nobody likes sweat on them, on the guests. So please do that. That's a 3-pointer, and it's a very important one. Last but not least is the performance. So the performance is the charisma, the performance. How do you act? How are you in that sauna? Are you present there? Are you in charge? Are you the leader? And you take your guests into a full experience where the guest is also feeling safe with you. How do you work with your voice? How do you work with your eye contact? So your performance also at the end. That means then when you start your Aufguss and when you end your Aufguss, the performance should be the same. Usually newcomers, beginners, they start very heavily on the Aufguss and they do a lot of moves, but know that after 13, 14 minutes, your energy is dropping. And at the end, we see that they're done. Yeah? Your energy is fully done. So also a tip for you, be careful with your energy. Start slowly and start relaxed and show yourself at the end, because that's what the people is mostly remembering, is how you end. and how your performance is. So save your energy and gradually build it up, okay? There's a few deductions that can happen in the professionality and overall impression. First of all, it's dropping equipment. That can, for example, you have something on the oven and you're waving with it and you hit it and it falls on the floor. That's, for us, a point down in professionality. So a tip for you as well is think about what you put on the oven, and if you use something, use it. For example, if you have nice buckets or nice vases that you use it on the oven and always put it down. The same with a ladle. If you have your ladle in the bucket, don't place it out, because we know that usually you will hit it. So when you use the ladle, nicely clean it off and put it away. So no objects are sticking out, okay? So that's one tip. Second tip is also in deduction, don't use endangered materials. For example, when you're using fire, when you're using dry ice, always first ask the host if it's okay. And if you have the go, still be very careful with that. With fire, it's very dangerous, so be careful. Use it as a small trick. Also, dry ice can be dangerous, so we check how you use these products. And if we feel it's unsafe, you will have also a deduction. Second thing in deduction is the time. Time is very important. This year, and this is a very important one, this year, an Aufguss can last only 14 minutes. And why is that? We used to have 15 minutes, and the first 3 minutes was the speech. Now, the speech we left out. That means that you have a full 15 minutes to do Aufguss. We've seen in the last years that people use these 15 minutes, and maybe they make their Aufguss 14 minutes and 50 seconds, and they are not able to get out of time out of the sauna. That means even if you're 5 seconds over these 15 minutes, you lose 1 point. That's 2 towel drops, and that's a lot. This year we chose to do 14 minutes with a recommended time of 13 minutes. So 13 minutes is optimal for the Aufguss. 14 minutes is the max. If you go 5 seconds over, you will get a time deduction. So if I was you, I would make my Aufguss around 13 minutes, where you still have 1 minute to nicely thank the people, take the applause, and nicely go out, relaxing, go out, and this is also a nice ending. So everything is connected with each other. So don't forget, maximum 14 minutes, otherwise you have a deduction. Same thing with being absent in the sauna. That means that if you go out of the sauna and you're more than 45 seconds out of that sauna, you also get a deduction. First of all, this is about safety. It's about you as a sauna master. You're working with the people. You are the leader of your Aufguss, and we think that it's important that you are there for the people. But second, also, we have seen that 45 seconds when you're absent, it's very long. And after 30 seconds, people will start looking at each other and think, okay, we're the sauna master, and your atmosphere is totally broken by that. So be very careful not to be too absent in your sauna. What you can do is, if you want to change something, like a costume or whatever, do it inside the sauna, because then you're not getting any deductions. Okay? So that's for professionality and overall impression. That's a total of 10 points. For the second category, increase and distribution of the heat, we gave this year, instead of 10 points, 12 points. Why is that? It is still Aufguss. It is maybe show Aufguss, but it's still Aufguss. And the basics of Aufguss is putting water on the stones so people have a heat experience. And we feel that as a professional sauna master, we cannot lose this out of sight. That means that we added one little category, which is thermal comfort, which I will speak about in a minute. We start with the increase of the heat. And as a jury, we expect that you gradually build up your heat. So we judge yourself on the increase of the heat, which means that in the first round, it goes a little bit up. In the second round, we have a nice heat, and at the end, we have a nice peak. This is the build-up. Be very careful that in the beginning, you don't make it too hot, meaning that if you put too much water on the stones from the beginning, it's very hot, and you don't have an increase. It keeps on just being hot for 30 minutes. And people will sit there with their mouths open not enjoying the show because literally at the end it will be too hot. So be very careful when you do your increase. Start slowly and nicely build it up until you have a peak at the end. That's the heat shower. The second one is the distribution of the heat. That means how you work with your towel and how, and this is mostly important with the classic techniques, how you get that heat that you have built up to your guests. And know that, of course, you have guests down, but you also have guests up. A tip there, first of all, don't forget the corners. Usually a sauna master starts, and if you have your sauna here and you have people in one row, that usually they start by waving like this. But that means that a part of your guests never get a wave. So one of the things is wave to your guests, and when you wave to your guests, give them a little bit of acknowledgement. Look them in the eye. It gives a personal touch and it adds up to your atmosphere. So give them a little, give them a little wave, give them a little acknowledgement, and you will see that people start smiling and they very much will enjoy your show. So don't forget your corners, make big waves, make sure that you do lots of classic techniques so you get that heat to the guests. And if you see classic techniques is on 4 points, distribution of the heat on 5 points, it's a big score. So don't forget to wave classically to your guests to distribute the heat. All right. And last but not least, we added 2 points for thermal comfort. And the thermal comfort is actually the overall heat experience. Looking at how the sauna is, it could be that you do it on a day where it's very hot, so you need to keep it very low. Or it could be that you do it on the evening, which there's a lot of steam in the room. But we look how you as a sauna master work with the heat in overall. And at the end, we feel if there's a nice heat, if there's a good distribution, but also if it fits according to whatever sauna you are doing your Aufguss in. So thermal comfort, 2 points. And in total, we have an increase in distribution of the heat of 12 points. Okay, we're going to the third category, and that's the waving techniques. A few things changed as well there. It's again on a total of 15 points. First of all, we start with the classic techniques. And I usually get the question, what is a classic technique? A classic technique is, one, the helicopter to distribute the heat, and second, the basic techniques, which are bringing the heat from up till down, bringing the heat from left till right, and bringing the heat from under till up. And basically, that's everything that you can do with a towel with 2 hands, that you have the towel in 2 hands. These are classic techniques, and these are connected with a lot of things. Distribution of the heat, the fragrances, and so on. So these classic techniques are super important. The second one is show techniques, and of course show techniques, we ask that you do a minimum of 4 different techniques, but of course the more you can do, the better. So we not only judge you on those techniques, but we compare you with all the rest. That means that if you just do 4 techniques, you will not be the best. That you really need to check and show that you can do lots of techniques, but also that they fit to the team. And that's the next one. It's the music harmony. So we ask that as an Aufguss master, and that's on 2 points, that you listen to your music and that you wave on your music, but that you also wave according to the style of the music and also to the style of the storyline. If it's a very sad part, we don't expect you to wave there happily with 2 towels. No, we want you to express your waving and your emotion through your towels. So waving on the music, listening to your music, and also feeling the music, feeling the storyline, and expressing your towel techniques through that. Okay, so that's 2 points. The next one is also very connected to that, and that's the smooth transition. That means that we give 2 points on how you smoothly go from one technique to another. When you do a wave and you stop and you take the towel to a different wave, or everything nicely flows in together, that's a smooth transition. So we really look also this year to the elegance, to the music, to how you work with your towels, and not just that you show that you can wave amazingly, okay? Last but not least, it's the special techniques. We give 2 points to new techniques, difficult techniques, special combinations, innovative combinations, multiple variations. So these are all combined in these special things that we see that we really say, wow, okay, that is high level. This is something that we haven't seen before, or this is something that is extremely difficult. These are 2 extra points you can win in the waving techniques. Okay. There's a deduction in that category, and as you know, that's a towel drop. Per towel drop, you get a half point down. But don't be scared. I think it's more important that you show what you can do than that you are scared of doing a technique of maybe that you will drop it. So just go fully all in. Okay, that's the category waving techniques. Next category is fragrances and usage and dosage. That's on 10 points on total. That hasn't changed. The first one is the perception, and this is on 6 points. That means that we need to smell at least a minimum of 3 natural aromas, which is an aroma that can be a pure essential oil, that can be an infusion that you made, it can be a smoke ritual that you do, anything that brings your storyline into action with an aroma. The perception is purely perception. It doesn't mean that as a jury I like it or I don't like it. No, we judge on, I can smell it, I can acknowledge it, and that's it. If it's too much, then we will of course give you down points. If we don't smell something at all, it's of course also a down point, because if we don't smell anything, we cannot judge anything. A very good tip that I can give you, in a sauna, try to use 2 ice balls and put them on different places on the oven. Why is that? When your aroma goes up, there's a natural stream inside the sauna. And when you start waving, it could be that if you put them on one place, the oil goes up, goes around, and until it ends up at the last person, it can also already be volatile and go away. So if you place them on both sides of the oven, the aroma will go like that. And that means that you get much more chance that everybody smells the aroma. Second tip that I can give you is start with classic techniques. Start by doing that, so you distribute the oil. Start by bringing the oil down and then do your show techniques, because that is a, first of all, nice distribution. You bring the heat down to the people, but at the same time, you also bring down the fragrance so people can enjoy the nice aromas that you prepare for them. Okay, so that's the perception. That's on 6 points. Second is the use of water, ice, and products. There we really look, okay, how do you professionally use your water? Do you just splash it on? Is everything falling on the floor? Or do you have an overview of your oven? Do you know where you place your water, where you place your ice balls? And it's very important, if you use water and you cool down the stones on one place, that you're not putting your ice ball somewhere else. So we really look on how professionally you bring that, or you just throw the ice balls on, or you nicely place it on, put water around, smash the ice ball, clean your spoon, put it nicely down. These are handlings that are done by professional sauna masters. So unclean or unsafe work with the water, ice, of aromas will give you a deduction there as well. Last but not least, the creativity and the quality of the products. That's on 2 points. Creativity, there really look at how is your aroma linked to your session? How is it linked to your storyline? Does it give an added value? For example, when you're on a field and you bring, for example, the green fragrance of galbanum with a little bit of mint, for example, on the fresh grass field, this adds up. But if you, for example, use orange in a grass when you're standing on a grass field, it doesn't make sense. Also, when you're having an Asian topic, for example, and you use African oils, they also don't make sense. So think about which products that you use. The aroma should be an extension of your storyline, because that's what they cannot do in movies. You can just watch something, but we can bring that extra sense inside the sauna, and this is really a extension of your storyline. And that could be or physical, like I said, for example, you're walking in the forest, well, then of course you use pines and firs and so on. But you can also do something emotional. When you feel there's an emotional moment, you can work with oils that fit to that emotion. Yeah? And if it's a very sad one, you will not use orange because that's a very happy oil. So think about your aromas, how they extend your storyline, how they extend the emotion that you want to bring inside your sauna, and really create something that nicely fits together. Okay, so that's about the creativity and the quality. So of course we also look at isn't your oil burned, for example, or the smoke, does it come good, or is it the burnt smoke? So that's also we look at quality. Okay. Last but not least, there's a deduction in there, and that's of course, as every year, the uses of synthetic products can only bring you a maximum of 5 points. And of course, that's the maximum. That means that you had a perfect one. Also, in the use of water and ice and products, I would suggest check your products, check if they're natural, and use that. And if you have any doubts, ask anybody in Aufguss VM, ask anybody in as sauna masters, but have a second check. If you're having doubts, please ask before. It's a pity that you're getting punished for that if you don't know if your product is synthetic or it's real. Okay, so just ask and we will validate that. All right, so fragrance, usage, dosage, 10 points. So the next category is theme and implementation, which is this year on 20 points. We feel the story is very important because it's still show Aufguss, and that means that it's a theater inside sauna. We need to get a story, and therefore we need to have actors. And on these 20 points, the first ones are on 8 points, and that's the show and the storyline. We look as a jury to the storyline and to the story in general, to the theme in general, and we look first of all, is it recognizable? Is there a story? Are there different parts? Is it compelling? Are you, as a sauna guest, are you fully compelled into that story? Do you want to watch it from begin till ending? Are there maybe plot twists or something? So just 3 parts or a more complicated story, there is where the difference in points will be. So that's on 8 points. It's a very important one. Get a good story and a nice story that is understandable for everybody, and that's nice to watch from beginning till the end. The second one are the sceneries and the elements. That's on 4 points, and it has to do with the story. The elements that you show inside your story, are they according to your theme? Yeah? The props that you are using, we don't look at how many props you bring in. It can be that you have minimum amount of props, but they fit to your storyline. And that's where you get your points on. So it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of the props that you bring in. Are they recognizable, but also are they professional? Is it something that you bought somewhere in a carnival store, or is it something that you nicely made? Is it high quality? Is it a nice element that you use? But we look at the quality of your elements. That's on 4 points. Third one is the sound, light, and visual effects. And this year, this is on 3 points. We also will add the quality and the volume of your sound. If you do, for example, a tape over, how professional is that? Is the music nicely flowing into each other, or are they 3 different parts? So the quality also of your music, the hearing and the full quality of your sound, is it professional? But also the lighting, your light plan, your visual effects, does everything give an added value to your story? 3 points in total. Okay. The next one is creativity and innovation, and that's also this year on 3 points. That means did you create a new story? Did you create something new, or is it something that already exists and you reproduce? Is it an innovative theme? Is it a unique story? So we really will look at creative stories, innovative stories. We want to be compelled. So that's on 3 points. And last but not least, something very new, and I had a lot of questions for that, and that's the acting. I think as a show Aufguss, as a theater Aufguss, acting is a key. and we ask and we look at, as a jury, how believable are you when you're acting, when you believe, when you speak, when you walk through your sauna, when you are the character. Are you that character, or are you just a sauna master pretending to be that character? So we look at how did you implement that and how believable are you. Okay, so acting, 2 points, and therefore a total points of 20 on team and implementation. The next category is atmosphere and overall feeling, and that's this year only 8 points. First of all, we look at the atmosphere, and as a jury, you feel the atmosphere. The atmosphere is something that is subjective. That means that we look, for example, how compelled are the guests looking to you? What's the atmosphere? And you can feel it. It could be a happy atmosphere. It could be a compelled atmosphere. It could be a very maybe a sad energy as well, but there's some kind of an atmosphere, and there we will judge you on. Okay, so it's a general atmosphere that we're looking at during the Aufguss. We also very much look at made atmosphere. That means that for Aufguss masters, some guests or some fans are trying to wind up the sauna and the guests, and you can feel that, and you can see that, and we also, as a jury, we can see that. So be also careful as a sauna master. If you have guests or if you have fans with you, be careful that they're not destroying your atmosphere instead of making your atmosphere. So be careful that they're not going all in, because a lot of other guests will feel that and they will not clap with them, and it will destroy the full atmosphere and also kind of your Aufguss. So please, the atmosphere needs to be genuine. So that's total on 4 points. The next one is the overall feeling as a jury, and that we place this year on 3 points. We look at each jury member individual, and we look at the team, and does that team fit within a wellness environment. That means that you need to think about you as a sauna master, my team, my topic that I'm using here. Do people actually come to a wellness center to see that? Yeah? So that's very important. Try always to end with something that lingers with the people, but that has a positive feeling with the people. Don't let the people go out negatively outside the sauna. People not come for that. People come for a well-being, for a good feeling. So be careful when you have a heavy topic. Always try to end with a positive note. Okay, that's the overall feeling. And last but not least, something we had already last year's, international understandable. It's on 1 point. We place it under the category atmosphere and overall feeling. So can everybody, independent of his nation, understand the topic of the story? That means that if you speak in it, maybe it's in your language, but if we understand what's going on fully, you will get the full points. We need to understand what the topics is, and we also need to understand it internationally. So if you made your session, let's say in Czech Republic, it's very important that you can also do that session in other countries without having to fully explain what you are doing. So international understandable, 1 point, total atmosphere and overall feeling, 8 points. The last category is the team spirit, and of course that's only for the teams, not for the single Aufgusses, and that's on 10 points. And we start with harmony. Harmony on 4 points. There we look at the harmony between the different Aufguss masters, despite their possible differences between them in waving techniques, in acting, and so on. So we look at how harmonious both are, or maybe 3 people are. Also, the equal rights. Do people do the same things or the same amount of things? We look, for example, is one Aufguss master all the time present and the other one a little bit on the back? Or do they have equal rights? Are they partners or are they 2 separate individuals? That's harmony between the Aufguss masters. And that's on 4 points. The next one is synchronization, again on 4 points. and there we look on the synchronized parts in the show. That can be waving techniques, which is very important, but that can also be cleaning your towel, doing some actions, maybe throwing something towards each other, but the synchronized movements inside the sauna during their ritual. Okay, so that's synchronization, 4 points. Last but not least, interaction. Interaction is on 2 points, and there we look at the smooth transfer of the towel in addition to the throws. So that means that you can throw to each other, but you can also take the towel from each other, but also other props. Yeah? Handing over props, handing over towels, how smooth and how interactive that is, that's on 2 points. So that's a total on 10 points, and that's the full explanation of the jury catalogue for 2024. If you have any more questions, you can always contact me, and I'm ready to answer your questions. Have a wonderful day.